fun.
Hmm.
So thanks for coming on.
Oh,
Um,
thank you for having me again.
this is our first, yeah, it's kind of your second time on.
Yep.
Um, we decided to try and have a fan episode where, we talk to fans. And actually, the idea came from one of my bosses. She's like, you should have fans on and talk about stuff with them. And I'm like, good idea. Um, so yeah, thanks for coming on. If you don't mind sharing, how did you even come to find us?
So I was thinking about this earlier. I think it was April or May, somewhere around that time. So that's when it was like I found the guys from Seconds Away. I think it was like December of last year. And so I was just trying to like help promote them. So I was trying to find like little podcasts and stuff like that that they could go on that like matched the type of music they made. And that's when I came across you guys and DM'd you, and then just been watching ever since.
Nice. How did you end up finding us though? Like when you were searching for
I was just like I
podcasts?
put in it was like a whole bunch. I just like on Instagram and stuff like for hashtags. It was like podcast, alternative music, pop rock, stuff like that. And then you guys just randomly came up in like little like the feed. And I was just like
Yeah.
scrolling and I was like, okay, this seems like it would be pretty nice. And then I DM'd you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you
See,
showed up.
see,
Chris,
Chris, hashtags do help. They do. They
you have
definitely
to
do.
hashtag the right things, and then people will find you if they are searching for certain things.
Hmm.
Dang.
They
Me and
do
my
matter. They
me and
do
my
matter.
social media ineptability.
Well, I mean, I'm the one that pretty much takes care of majority of the posting and everything, so
Yeah, it's true.
well, you're doing a good job.
I try. I try. And then we also reached out to you just because I knew you were one of our top followers and fans back when we were doing like a fan survey, and I think you were one of the few that that filled it out or got back to us, and that's why we sent you the merch that you're wearing.
Well, thank you. It's
Uh,
been my it's like it's one of my it's like in the top few shirts that I wear often. So when I break dress code, it is with this shirt.
That's good to know. You're breaking a code. You're breaking dress code.
And then the
So
fun thing about it is when like I have customers or like guests that ask me about it, and I'm just like, okay, like we'll pull up Instagram. I can show you exactly what it is.
that's awesome.
Hmm.
I wonder
See,
if we've
people
gotten,
ask questions.
people ask questions. yeah,
They
I wonder if
do.
we've gotten any followers from it. There was one guy when we took a trip to Philly to see Senses. We went into a restaurant and I just started a conversation with this guy. I'm like, hey, I'm in Philly for one day. What should I go do? And we started talking about the podcast, and I told him we had, I think it was Mike Herrera. I told him we had Mike Herrera on, and he pulled us up and followed us right away. So that was pretty cool. But I wonder if through sharing the shirt, I wonder if anyone's checked us out.
And never hopefully a
know.
few of them have.
Hopefully. I mean, it's a slow growth, but we're still growing.
Hmm. Well, at least you know, like you guys aren't buying your views and stuff like that. So
Definitely not buying our views. We've tried. We've tried. We've tried. We did a couple boosts and everything, but we don't really see much from it. We see more from when like bands actually share when we have interviewed them and everything. We get a little more followers that way usually, so.
hmm.
So it's always good to share. So I'm curious, did any other podcast respond to you with Seconds Away when you were reaching out to everybody?
Nope, you guys were the only one. And then there was this like little magazine in Europe, I think it was. And that's they had their first feature on there. And then you guys, I think, happened like a few weeks later, but that's all I've gotten.
That's nice. That's good. I mean, one is better than none, I guess, right?
Exactly.
And we were happy to have them on. They were great. We enjoyed our conversation with Seconds Away. It was, I think it was one of our shorter ones, but they were just really direct with answering questions.
Hmm.
Like a lot of people like telling stories, but they were just very, very direct.
Yeah, for sure. They do, some people are very long-winded.
I feel like that depends with me sometimes. Like my answers are just like straight to the point, and then other times I'm like, you know what? I feel like talking, so I just start yapping away.
Right. There's certain
So,
things I'll talk about more. but that's everyone, right?
You mean like story of the year?
Oh, hush. Always bringing them up
If you don't bring them up, I have to, at least once an episode.
once an episode. Story of the year plugging during every episode.
So what have been some of your favorite episodes of ours? I'm just curious. I don't think I've ever asked you that, even as we've been like texting as friends through the for
Well,
anyone like real quick for anyone watching or listening, we've been talking like on the side, off the podcast and everything as friends for a while. So it's like I can't really keep straight what I have and have not found out over these last few months.
you're
So
good.
if some of these are repeat questions, my bad.
No, you're fine. So I feel like I'm a little biased here because Seconds Away, but that one has to be my favorite episode. And then I would say the one with Senses because they're another band that I really enjoy.
Yeah. How many other bands we've interviewed do you know of? Approximately.
I want to say probably sounds bad, but just like one. And I think it was the All American Rejects.
Okay. Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of people know who they are, so I just saw them recently, so that was fun.
I know they came here for one of the festivals that we had in Dearborn, and they were like the last band to perform, and they draw a really big crowd. I didn't get to go, but I got to see everybody else go and enjoy it.
Can't go to every show, unfortunately. I
I wish.
wish. So I'm just curious, how exactly do you yourself discover new music? What's your go-to?
Well, right now, lately, it's been TikTok and like Instagram Reels. Like when I get stuck on like one artist or like something like a song that I really like, I'll just start scrolling, and then I just hear a whole bunch of like Seconds Away did it a lot, like where they would post a picture, like if you're into like this person, this person, this person, you would like us. So that's what my TikTok feed looks like, and my Instagram Reels look like. And then like I'll just hear like a really catchy song, and I'm like, okay, let me add this.
Right, let me check them out.
Exactly. A recent band that I found, I think they're a band. I didn't really dig into them yet, but it was on TikTok, and they're called Let Me Down.
Okay. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll check them out. Maybe we'll check them out. We're always looking for, new bands to check out. So you're welcome to send us anyone
I
and we'll
got
check them
you.
out and see what we think.
Yeah, I'm curious because if those are coming up on your feed and they're like, "Hey, sounds like X, Y, and Z," or if you enjoy X, Y, and Z, listen to us. Have you ever found them to not be accurate? Like, hey, if you're a fan of, I don't know, like Linkin Park, you'll like us, and then you'll listen to them and be like, "They're not like Linkin Park. Why would that?"
Not yet. Like I've expected that, but everything like everybody that I found, they sound exactly like the people
Hmm.
that like I guess like that's inspiring their music or their sound.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I've come across a couple that I'm just like, huh? Like, this is supposed to be like this band? I don't think you sound anything like it. But then again, I have a lot of music feeds popping up on the podcast Instagram. So I'm like, it's hard to keep them all straight sometimes. And we get all those sponsored ads all the time.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, not my cup of tea.
Actually, that's how like they used to promote albums back in the day. Like on a CD, you could go to like Best Buy and everything and you could listen to it. But on the front of the album would be like for fans of, and it would list other bands. Like I remember picking up, I had no clue who they were at the time, but I picked up Vanna and it was like for fans of Every Time I Die and I forget the other band I gave an example of. And I'm like, that's got to be interesting. And I actually bought it without listening. And when I did listen, I'm like, yeah, this and Every Time I Die don't go hand in hand, but I ended up liking Vanna a lot. So, but yeah, that's how they used to like promote if you couldn't hear the band before, like on the front of the album. It's like for fans of blah blah. So
I
it's
thought
interesting.
Vanna, I thought Vanna was a harder band though.
They are, but if you compare to them to Every Time I Die, they're not.
Not quite as hard.
It's like hardcore versus this is like splitting hairs with genres, but it's like hardcore versus like mathcore and southern rock. Like it's just it's not the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, there's some interesting genres out there. That's for sure. That's why it's like you can't really, put bands in one specific genre anymore because they're all like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and all over the place sometimes.
They add their little twist to it, which makes it
Yes,
interesting.
for sure.
Okay, so we were talking slightly before recording, and I mentioned that we talked about this before, I think, with Matt V. But Jess doesn't know what Tim Hortons is. Jess doesn't have Timmy's.
They are so good.
But I don't know
So
if I could eat it because I'm gluten free.
no,
It's
coffee
Tim
though.
Hortons. It's
Oh,
coffee.
coffee. Oh, I thought it was like some restaurant or
No,
something.
no. Well, kind of. It's like a regional Dunkin', would you say?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
Um,
so it's a coffee shop, but they probably have like donuts and stuff and
yeah.
Hmm.
little snacks that I can't eat.
Yeah, like if you compare like Dunkin's Munchkins versus the Timbits, like
Hmm.
Timbits blow Dunkin' out of the water.
They are way better.
I don't know. I've never had Buc-ee's either, and everyone's always talking about Buc-ee's. Have
That
you
I
had
still have not
Buc-ee's?
visited, but I want to.
Yeah, I don't have Buc-ee's over here.
Have you had Buc-ee's though, Chris?
Mm-mm.
No. I mean, it's a gas station, so it's just like a glorified gas station with lots and lots of stuff. Apparently, there's really good food. I don't know, but probably
That's
nothing
like
gluten free.
that's like Sheath. I just recently tried them on my
Oh my
from when I was
God.
coming home from my last Ohio trip. I feel like it was very hyped. Like my
Right.
expectations were really, really high. It's kind of disappointed though.
What? I love Sheets.
I
Like
remember seeing a thing for Sheets. I think I went to a Sheets maybe once, and I was like, I just thought the signage was funny. Sheets.
anytime I'm going through Pennsylvania, because there's a ton in Pennsylvania, I always stop at a Sheets. Actually, specifically the one in Scranton, because that's about like 2.5 hours into my drive anywhere south. I'm like, Sheets sounds good about now. There's also one like outside of Harrisburg that I stop at a lot, but I love Sheets. Now, did they have the like the little electronic ordering, or did you have to like order with somebody when you went to Sheets?
The when we went through the drive-through and we were trying to speak and nobody was answering, it was just like the machine, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I think we have to use the machine." So it took us a few minutes, but there was nobody in line. It was pretty late, so I was like, we could take our time and like figure this out. I wanted their fried pickles because Mikey from Seconds Away was like hyping them up, and I'm like, okay, whenever I try sheets, that's what I want. And I get there and they're like, oh, we don't sell those no more, and I'm like, well, oops.
What a letdown.
I don't think I've ever tried to go through a drive-through in a Sheets.
It was too cold to get out.
I
That's why.
gotcha. Have you ever tried or been to a Royal Farms?
Mm-mm. Nope.
Okay, so they're like Maryland, Virginia area, and it's like if you think Sheets is um like overblown and like not as great as you thought it would be, Royal Farms is like top notch. So when we went to Philly to see Senses, um, our hotel was right next to a Royal Farms, and it's like a giant gas station, but they have advertised like hot chicken and like all these like fresh sandwiches and everything. And when we got there, it was, I don't know, like 12:30 in the morning. And so I asked the person as we're checking, I'm like, are they 24 hours? Do they have food? And they're like, oh yeah, go check it out. So good. So good. So now anytime I'm going through like southern Pennsylvania or Maryland, Virginia, I'm going to stop at Royal Farms. A lot of them have a giant chicken statue outside. Um, so yeah, the giant chicken is what lured me to the gas station.
Yeah. I feel like here in Wisconsin, our biggest thing is Quick Trip. It's a gas station, glorified gas station with all the goodies and everything. So that's kind of like our Buc-ee's, I guess.
Yeah,
But
we have like a
I've never
burn
been to your Royal place, and I've been to
Royal
Virginia,
Farms.
but
Um, we also have in New York, we have Burned Dairy and then Stewart's. So those are our glorified gas stations. But Burn Dairy is like an actual legit deli. That's how they started, and then they started adding gas later on.
Well, enough gas station talk. I mean, who wants to hear us talk about all these gas stations? Unless someone listening or watching, has something even better than Buc-ee's to add to the conversation, comment about it. I'll check it
Maybe,
out. Maybe
well,
we'll
maybe
make it there someday.
if we keep talking about them, maybe we'll get sponsored by Bucky's or Stewart's
Yeah,
or
let's
Royal
keep talking
Farms.
about all these
That's
these
true.
places and maybe we'll get sponsored. Who wants to sponsor us? Come on, Buc-ee's.
Put it in the hashtags.
Hashtag Buc-ee's.
Hashtag sponsor, please.
Never know. Crazier things have happened, right? So I'm curious, what's the last show you went to?
It was Chase Atlantic. It was November 6th.
How was that?
So like my expectate like I knew they were gonna be good because I already seen them once, but like my expectations were here and they were like right here at the end of the show.
Super exceeded.
It was so good. I got lucky. So that was the first show I've ever went to like by myself. And I was like nervous about it, but I was like, everybody's like super chill and like the fandom and everything. And I got there really early and there was like this little group of girls in front of me and she was by herself because her friend was in VIP. So like we were just talking and like became friends, in line. And then when the show started, we had these bar passes because Fastlane sold out, so we could still get in a little earlier than everybody else. And then her friend was already at VIP, like at the barricade waiting for her, so she took me with her. So I was in like the second row.
Well, that's good. See?
So that made me really
See?
happy.
It's not scary going to shows by yourself. Some people won't go to shows at all by themselves, but I've gone to some by myself and I still have a great time. You
Hmm.
meet new people that way,
You do, and I was nervous about it, but I'm like, I really want to see them, and I don't want to miss out just because I'm going to go by myself. So I'm really
right?
happy I did not.
You didn't
That
want to
morning,
have FOMO
exactly. I still had it afterwards because it was so good, but
and you wanted more. You wanted more.
exactly.
Can we
What
just
was the
play another set?
what was the last show you went to by yourself, Jess?
Me, probably the failsafe.
Oh yeah, yours was super recently then.
Yes, that was the failsafe, but that was also like in Rockford. And then my friend ended up coming later, but I showed up by myself and was there by myself for a while. But the guys all chatted and hung out with me, so
Last one I went to by myself was probably in like 2005. And that was, I think it was when the matches toured with Bullet for My Valentine before they got big. I
oh
think
my
that was the
gosh, I don't even
show.
know if they played with Bullet.
I think so.
I'll have
I
to look
think,
it up.
yeah, I'll look it up right now.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, Chris, you have Google set up this
I have
time.
Google set up again.
Every time, the last couple times we've had an interview, I'd be like, Chris will Google it, and he's like, I don't have it set up. And I'm like, what the heck?
He was prepared this
Failure.
time. He
He
knew.
prepared. He prepared.
Yeah. No, I can't find it.
Hmm. We'll
I
have to do
knew,
a deep dive later
I
on.
know it was the matches. I thought they played together and, but anyway,
We'll have to deep dive it.
I gotta find it.
I can always ask Justin. He said he'd come on the podcast, but I haven't heard back from him.
Time to spam the DMs. Be like, so you said you're coming on. So now we need a
Yeah,
time and a date.
I know. I want him to come on and chat about the matches and chat about everything else that he's been doing in his life.
So I'm curious, how has your music taste changed over the years? Let's start from Little Baby Z to you now.
I feel like it's all over the place. But when I first started listening to music, I think I was like 10, 11, something like that. And it was only country because that's what my mom likes to listen to. So like in the car and stuff, it was only country. So I think it was 2012. That's whenever Justin Bieber was starting to blow up, and I seen him on Nickelodeon. And I was like, yeah, I like him, and I like the sound. So I started like listening to him, then like slowly, you know, I found new like pop artists and started changing the radio stations. I want to say when I was 14, 13, 13. Black Veil Brides was my first like metal rock band that I found. And then I was like, yeah, Screamo was my thing. I like that. And then I found
Right?
like Pierce the Veil, Sleeping with Sirens.
It's funny how that happens when you're just like, you start out a lot lighter when you're younger. Like, obviously I was into like boy bands and everything and Paula Abdul. And now look at me. I listen to all sorts of stuff.
The
You
first
know,
song I can ever really remember being super into was Breakfast at Tiffany's by Deep Blue Something. Like, I don't know why that was the first song that ever clicked with me.
I remember obsessing over Paula Abdul and the Bangles. Eternal Flame. That song specifically for some reason. What about you? See,
I want to say I think it was Black Veil Brides, and I want to say it was Coffin.
yeah,
That was like my all day, every day. I was like, yeah, this is my jam. I like this.
you
And
were
then the
hooked.
music video, I don't know, just something about Andy. I was like, yeah, this
I
is my
mean,
new favorite thing.
he does have that look, that persona that catches people off guard and then they're like then they get sucked in.
hmm I think it was like the body makeup, like the body paint that they use. I was like, this is different, and I really like this. Like him, and I think it was Jinx. He had my favorite look. He was my lock screen like all of middle school.
Oh, infamous lock screens. I don't even know if I wouldn't even have had a lock screen in middle school.
Were cell phones out when you were in middle school?
Yeah, probably.
What year was that?
Like 97.
Oh yeah, probably one of those big ol'
My first cell phone was a Nokia with the exchangeable faceplate and the keys. So all I could play on it was Snake.
we are aging ourselves.
We are, but we are elder emos. So we're aging ourselves with a lot of people that, follow the podcast.
I still want one of those pink T-Mobile. I think it was like flip phones. I don't know the name of them, but somebody
A
had
flip
one in
phone
middle
or a
school.
sidekick
It was a flip phone. It was like it was a pink one. It was
Was it
like kind of
metal?
long. I think so.
So it probably was the original Razor.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, those were so I worked at Verizon back when those first came out. Um or maybe it was the second iteration that had come out. Those were notorious for like getting bent because they were made of metal and people would put them in their back pocket and sit down and they
Hmm
they would bend over time. Um but yeah, those were good phones. I mean, that's what I mean,
Chris has one now.
yeah, I have one now.
Again, a
One of
new
the new
version.
ones. Did I tell you about that? Did I tell you I got one of those?
You did, yeah.
Yay, of course I did. Um, but yeah, all in the name of trying to decontaminate. What's the word I'm looking for? To
Detox
detox. There you go.
from
Uh,
social media a
from
little bit.
social media. However, I will tell you, I just put Instagram back on my phone this morning.
Oh,
So,
baby steps, I guess.
I showed you what it looked like on the iPad.
Yeah,
It's like the most garbage app on the iPad.
It is so weird on a bigger screen.
it can't be good on a laptop either.
It's better on a laptop than an iPad.
Well, that just means they didn't build the website correctly for other platforms.
Yeah. Have you seen it on an iPad before?
No,
See?
I did because you showed me.
When
Z,
I first when I first got in when I first had Instagram, that's what I used on was an iPad. And it always just looks so weird. And then once I got like my first phone and I put it back on there, I was like, this is a lot better.
Yeah,
well,
but
yeah.
when you saw it on the iPad, was it still just like a fraction of the screen that showed
It
the
had
app?
like it was weird. I don't know if it like I just didn't have like the updated version of the app or whatever, but it had like the black border around it. So that I didn't like that at all. That's what was weird to me about it.
Yeah, it's definitely made. I think it's just the mobile version of the app, and then it's just stretched to meet the screen, and that's it. And I hate
Hmm
it. I couldn't stand it, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to use it on the iPad anymore.
Yeah. So I'm curious too. What shows do you have coming up, Z? Anything planned for the future?
I only have one. Me and my friends are going to see JD in Cleveland, I think it is, February 23rd.
Okay,
So that's
okay.
my only show plan for right now.
So a little bit of a road trip.
Yep.
Any thoughts on, spring tours that have been coming out?
I seen Pierce the Veil and Sleeping with Sirens, and that's one that I want to go to because I got two dates that I could go to, so Detroit and in Ohio, but I still haven't bought tickets.
Yeah. I haven't
I'm
been
not
to
100%
Detroit.
sure yet.
I haven't been to Detroit in a long time. I feel like it would have been like 2005 or 6 for Warp Tour back in the day.
That's
That's the
one
last
thing I want to
time.
go to.
Yeah, I keep hoping that they announce like a Midwest date, like fest 2 dates, because they did 2 dates on all the other dates they did. So I'm hoping that they, announce a Midwest one, please, Warp Tour.
I'm just gonna speak it into existence, make it happen.
If I keep talking about it, it'll happen, right?
Exactly.
You
Well,
gotta
That's how I
will
Orlando
look
it.
at stuff.
Orlando still isn't sold out
I know Orlando still hasn't. If it hasn't sold out by the time they announce the bands, maybe then I'll go, depending on what bands are actually playing.
because they're saying January, right? They're going to announce some
Yeah, they
bands.
said they're gonna start announcing bands in January.
Because they used to, like January 1st, they would start announcing them back in the day. So I'm wondering if they're going to follow that same pattern.
Well, yeah, but
Um,
they also never put tickets on sale before they announced either.
that's true.
They're doing things all bass backwards.
Uh,
Ah, yes. But I mean, I was super excited to see that Warped Tour was coming back, but now that it's like kind of festival-ish, I don't know. It's just not going to be the same, I don't think. You said you didn't go to Warped Tour, Z?
Nope. They canceled it before I was old enough to like go.
Ah, I know. It's like I forget how young you are that you never got to go to a Warped Tour, but hopefully they announce the Midwest and you can experience Warped Tour. It won't be the same experience as we had, but it'll still be a great one, I'm sure.
And now I'm old enough and I have adult money,
Yep,
and I
now
will
you
not
have
be
your own
responsible
money
with it.
and you can be as irresponsible as you want.
Exactly.
You can
we
always go
were,
to Florida.
Maybe. I feel like Florida's too hot. Like I like the heat, but I don't like it that hot.
Well, it's in November in Florida, so it's usually a
yeah,
little cooler. That's
you'll,
why they picked November, I think.
it'll probably be like upper to mid 70s.
Perfect weather, unless there's a hurricane. A
I
rare
think
November hurricane.
I think I'm gonna stay away.
Anything's possible, Chris. Don't shake your head.
I'm not,
We had a
God,
tornado. We had a tornado in here in Wisconsin in January. Come on now.
was
It's,
snow involved with it? Because if there's such a thing as like a snow tornado, I want nothing to do with that.
no, there was no snow because it was just like a fluke, really warm, like couple days in January, and and then it produced some thunderstorms and a tornado happened. Yep. One of those weird things, weird phenomenons.
There's a
Okay,
first time for everything.
It's true.
so now I have a really weird, obscure, out of nowhere question. Since you live in Michigan, I'm really curious, what time does the sun set there in summer?
Right now, I want to say it's around like 6 or 7, like 7:30. It's pretty dark out.
But what about like summer? How,
Oh, I'm sorry. The summer is probably around like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
hmm.
Seems about right because that's about what it would be like here in
Because
Wisconsin.
I've
the
heard
sun
like,
was like still bright and everything once we get out of work, and that's when me and my brother get out of work.
see, but that's like, because you said it's that late. Like here in Syracuse, it gets dark at like 4:30 in winter. It gets dark so early here.
Hmm.
Nope, here it's like 7, around 7, 6:37. It depends on the weather too. Like if it's snowing, it'll get dark sooner, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
But if there's like no bad weather, then it's like a little later.
Chris is just in a Syracuse black hole.
I hate it. At work, we had interviewed somebody for a position, and she had gotten her master's from Syracuse. And so, like, I asked her about it. I was like, "Was that an online thing, or did you come in person?" She's like, "No, it was remote, but we had to come up for 1 week." She's like, "I got in and out before I saw any snow." I was like, "Smart girl."
right? Got lucky. She was in and out. No snow. Some people love the snow though, Chris. I don't.
I used to until I had to start working and go out in it, and I'm like, no, I'm okay.
A lot
Give me the
changes when
sun.
you a lot changes when you become an adult and you actually have to deal
Hmm.
with the snow more. Because when you're a kid, it don't matter. Your parents deal with all that. The only time you have to deal with it is if your parents kind of make you shovel the sidewalk or something.
Exactly.
But otherwise, you're out in the snow building forts and having snowball fights. You're having a good old time. You don't have to drive in it and deal with stupid people driving next to you that don't know how to drive in it. Ah,
You just wake
What's
up really early to see if you see your school on the news channel, like
oh yeah.
schools are closed today, and then you'd be so happy, go back to sleep.
As a kid, you were always hoping for a snow day.
Yeah, I remember listening to the radio and they would do the closures. And as they were closing, the radio host had to like talk so fast to get through all, what, 60 something that were in listening radius. That was always fun to listen to.
No
No,
snow days as an adult.
no. Now I'm curious, what's the worst thing that's happened to you in the snow or winter as an adult?
I don't, knock on wood, nothing yet.
She's
How about
Haven't
been
you?
gotten
lucky.
stuck in snow, haven't slipped, haven't like nothing like that yet.
You
And
are very lucky.
I'm knocking on wood. I don't want to jinx that.
I went in a ditch once. That was fun. The cop that stopped to check on me, I rolled my window down and he was like, "Oh, I'm shocked you're not crying." He was like shocked I wasn't crying because most women, when he checks on them and they were in a ditch or something, they're usually crying. And I'm like, well, there was nothing I could do. So I kind of just lost control and I wasn't going to get any better. So I just let go of the steering wheel and let fate take its hands. I just was like, what happens, happens, right? I can't do anything about it. I'm spinning out.
You just take the wheel.
Yep, just take the wheel. Let my fate get decided by whatever higher being is out there.
I've had some weird and bad stuff happen. Back when I was like 19 or something, I was dating this girl that lived up on a hill, and I was coming home, and there was this back road. It had a series of stop signs, and one of them was at the bottom of one of the hills, and my car's brakes were awful back then. And I was just thinking like, dear Lord, please don't let anyone stop in front of me. Don't let anyone pull out of a side street because ain't no way I'm stopping on these icy roads. And sure enough, somebody was like making a right or a left, I can't remember, um, off of one of these roads, and I had to hit my brakes. I'm skidding the whole way down, and I had my wheel turned all the way to the left, and like my car stays straight and just slowly moves over. And I must have missed them by like an inch. But oh my God, that was awful. I did go in a ditch once. Um, Back when I worked at Home Depot, I took the exit ramp probably a little too fast and I hit black ice and I went into the ditch. And then I had to hitchhike to work to call somebody to get my car out of the ditch. So that was fun. Um, the worst thing that happened to me in winter, however, was last year I was shoveling the pathway off and I went to lift the snow, which was super heavy. And I kid you not, the handle of my shovel broke, the handle came off, and then the like pole part of the shovel smacked me in the mouth.
Ow.
Oh my
And I'm
God.
like, okay, I'm done.
At least you didn't break a tooth.
Yeah, I thought I was good, but like seriously, like blood and all that. And at least I was cut on the inside because it was from the pole jamming into my lip and then like my tooth cutting it. But it was, yeah, that sucked.
I guess if you think about it, us all living in areas that get snow in winter, we have a lot of interesting stories to tell sometimes. We have a lot of experience that you wouldn't get if you were living in a southern state. I mean,
Ice and snow are no joke.
I've seen some crazy things on the roads during the snowstorms and stuff. I mean, my friends and I decided it was a good idea one time to go to Denny's after a show. It was like late after a show. I feel like it was something corporate or something at the rave in Milwaukee. And we're like, we're hungry. Let's go to the Denny's out on Highway 100. And so we're driving it. It literally snowed like a foot of snow while we were in the show. So we're driving in this like horrible weather, trying to get to Denny's. And I'm just pulling up to a stop and go light. And I'm like, I stopped and it was green. The light was green. And I like see out of the corner of my eye, there's this person coming by the other on the cross traffic and just slid right through the red light. They were just sliding. I was like, well, I'm glad I'm paying attention. But yeah, you see crazy things out there in the snow.
Have y'all seen the clip? I think it was from last year when Buffalo got dumped all that snow. Have you seen the clip of the guy with like 3 feet of snow on top of his car and he's driving around?
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's even covering the windshield.
Yeah. Love how safe that is, right? All that
I
weight
know
has to be horrible though.
Yeah, it's probably at least 500 pounds.
Yeah.
in Michigan, I think it's illegal if you don't like clean off your cars, like even the tops before you start driving. Because like obviously once you start driving, it starts blowing off and hitting other cars.
Right. I think it's illegal everywhere, I swear,
Yeah.
but people just don't do it and cops have nothing else better to do than they have other things to deal with in a snowstorm to stop people that didn't clean their car off, you know?
Exactly.
I took my truck through the automatic car wash, one of the tunnels, and as I got to the dryer, I noticed that the back of my bed cover was all covered in ice, and there was somebody right behind me in the tunnel. I'm like, oh shit, all my ice is gonna smack their windshield. I was like, oh gosh. And so like I'm going through the tunnel, I'm watching it all go flying. I'm like, oh, don't break anything.
Thankfully, it didn't ruin anything.
Not that I know of.
Hmm. Well, the risks you take, right? Going through the
Right.
car wash.
Car washes are fun though.
It's
Especially
true.
this one, they got like all the neon lights as you go through and
Hmm.
everything. I love it. And then you have like that colorful soap that smells amazing.
I don't know. I haven't washed my car in like 3 years, so
Do they salt the roads or do they put sand on the roads over there?
We do salt.
yeah, we salt. They sand in certain counties. Not my county though.
Have you seen where they put the brine down?
They do that here. This is
I don't
such
know
great
what that is.
conversation,
I
right?
know, we're talking about snow in the winter and cars.
Everyone, if anyone's still listening, they're like, all right, well, I'm done. I don't want to hear about snow anymore.
Statistically, they were done about 35 seconds into the episode.
I know. Isn't statistics horrible?
It is. It's so depressing. We've looked at our statistics and like I think it's the same because we asked Ginger the same question.
Yeah.
Um, the average view time for any given video, the majority drop off after about 35 seconds to a minute. Like that's where most people stop listening or watching anything. And it's depressing to look at, but
Yeah, because we're doing all this hard work putting episodes together, and then, oh, maybe one person actually watched it all the way through.
but I think what's interesting is YouTube has a thing that's like the most replayed. So people will jump to that section. So you'll look at the statistics for a video and it's like, okay, so at like 2 minutes, there's three or four people watching. But then it's like minute 17, all of a sudden there's 25 people. It's the weirdest.
Maybe people just jump to see what else we're talking about. And if it piques their interest, they keep listening or watching.
Speaking of, how many do you, I'm not trying to call you out, but how many have you listened through? Because there's so many episodes where we're like, oh, nobody's listening at this point, and I'm like, except for Z, what up? How many times have you heard me say that?
So a lot of times when I watch like the episodes and stuff, I love to have like background noise and like things to like watch and listen to when I'm cooking. Like I'll prop my phone up like against the wall like while I'm cooking and I'll just like listen. I'm like that's the only way like I can actually get through a show or something. Like I have to be doing something while I'm watching. like pay attention if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because I'll listen to other podcasts episodes, but I'll be at work when I do it, and I'll have it on, listening in my earbuds and everything. So yeah, makes sense. That's probably what most people do. I don't think anyone just sits down at home and watches it. They got to be like at work or something and listen to it. We're a great podcast to listen to at work, guys. So do it.
So speaking of, how about your latest obsession that we were talking about earlier? The fact that you're on season 12 of SVU and you've been binging it for 2 months.
I was looking back at my text messages, but I'm like, I know I told somebody I started SVU, and like on iPhones, like on iMessage, you can see like the date and everything. So I looked back and I sent it to you, and it was like the middle of October, and I was like, it's only the middle of December. How am I always like halfway through season 12? Like that was just crazy to me. Like I know I watch shows quick. I didn't think it was that quick.
Yeah, binging is a problem, right?
A little.
I I rewatched Criminal Minds about 11 times now,
Yeah.
like every
Well,
single
why wouldn't
season.
you? It's a great show.
It is.
I can't believe why oh gosh, what's his name? The main guy there from Criminal Minds that got kicked off. What was I can't remember. I'm bad at remembering cast names. Um, but it was like the last season or something. They kicked him off of the show because he like kicked a producer.
You're not
I
talking
haven't.
about Spencer Reed, are you?
No, no, no.
No, it was Hotch.
Yeah, it was Hotch.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Aaron
That seems like
Hotch.
such a him thing to do, but apparently he had a good reason. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I always had a thing for Matthew Gray,
Yeah,
who
so does
played
Nikki.
Spencer Reed. Ugh, who doesn't? He's got that cute nerdy thing going on.
and apparently they're putting him back on the. I think there's like a season 19 coming out, and he's supposed to be back on there.
Oh
So
man.
we get to see more of him.
Well, didn't they do like Criminal Minds Evolution or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So
And
they
that's
did
where
did it a
season 19
spin-off,
is going to
yeah.
be. Yep.
Well, then I'm definitely gonna need to watch it.
Have you seen the horror movie he was in?
I
No.
don't think so.
No, I forget what it's called. I'm gonna look it up right quick. Um, it was actually pretty good.
68 Kill?
No, Suburban
Suburban
Gothic.
Gothic?
Yeah,
I was Googling at the same time.
that
It's funny that we
was a good
just said
one.
that at the same exact time. Ah,
So
I
fun
what
might
else
have to
stuff.
is
look that up and see where I could watch it. I
it's
haven't seen it
good.
yet.
I since Nikki is obsessed with him, and she found out about that movie, we bought it many, many years ago, digitally. So it sits there. I think we've only watched it a couple times, but
I've never seen
apparently
it either.
apparently he's in more.
He is in a lot. He was in some other thing that I watched. He was in Alvin and the Chipmunks movie.
Hmm. He plays
RV.
Simon, or like voice of he's the voice of Simon.
I really remember him when I was into this show I was on one of the streaming platforms. It might have been HBO. Dollface. He was like her boyfriend in Dollface for a while, and I was just like, ah, I don't know what it is. It's got that nerdy cute going on. Girls love a nerdy cute.
I just wish they gave him a better ending on Criminal Minds. He
It's
deserved a
true.
happy ending.
He did, but it didn't happen.
Apparently, somebody wrote a book and gave him a happy ending. I have
Well,
not read it
good.
yet, but
Good.
he deserves it.
He does. What were you going to say, Chris? I interrupted you.
I don't remember.
Don't remember.
I'm old. I don't remember things.
That's just
Um,
how we roll.
so what else is in your current rotation playlist as far as music goes?
Um, well, JD, I don't know what it is. Like, I started listening to them a few months ago. So I think Seconds Away was opening for them. So that's when I started listening to them. I can't go to a concert if I don't know every song, like even for the openers. Like I want to enjoy from the beginning to the end. So, and like I've just been listening to them. Um, and then obviously Chase Atlantic. Those have been like my two top the past few months.
Now by JD, who are we talking about? What's their full name?
JD.
That's it?
Yep, but that's her band name.
The J and the D?
Oh no, it's Jady.
Oh, okay. I'm like, JD. My mom had a dog named JD once. It stood for just dog,
Well, that's a good name.
I guess. Not, no, because I'm like, I gotta look this JD up because you're talking about him. So I was like, look him up. There it is. They're followed by Enemy. Enemy. Enemy is from Detroit area. Well, that area, Ohio. I don't know if you've heard of that band. I interviewed their
Nope.
singer.
I'll have to look them up after.
If you like some rock, it's Enemy with no E in the middle though. It's ENMY.
Okay.
But they just played like they just did that tour with Conquer Divide and everything. So they're really good. And the lead singer Brady, he's funny. He's a good dude. But yeah, I mean, anytime you should check out every single band we have on the podcast. No. Give us a
So,
comment. Comment. Let us know what you think. No. Nobody ever
I'm just gonna
comments on
start
anything.
spamming the comments.
Nobody ever comments on anything. We never
no.
get comments. We ask for them, but nobody wants to give them. Or I get random ones that I'm just like, what the heck are you talking about, dude?
Those are those bots that just randomly sneak in.
It probably is. It probably is.
What
And I'll
about
just be like, what?
what about that random person that DM'd us saying that we were in breach of contract?
Oh yeah, we had some guy that randomly sent us a thing. He's like, "You're in breach of contract." And I'm like, "What freaking contract? I didn't sign anything." I was like, "I don't know. It's some spammy thing or some way for us to look at his page or something probably."
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, "Why would I do that? You're trying to like tell me I breached a contract. That's silly." I didn't
I
get it.
know I have
I was
not done
so
anything to get
confused.
sued.
I know, and I didn't sign anything. Sometimes I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble for using certain pictures I take from the internet and not giving photo credit. But I mean, if the band posts the photo and they don't give credit, well, then how am I supposed to know?
That's
I try
true.
to give credit where needed, so
You think Sam is going to have a problem with us ripping from his live stream?
I wouldn't think so, as long as we mention the like good cause he was going to do,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, we donated to, well, I donated on behalf of JAMXP to Sam Tabor. He was doing a charity live stream, and we had him on the podcast because not only does he like do video game streaming and have like a YouTube and Twitch, but he also makes folk music. So we had him on, and so I donated to his American Red Cross uh, charity thing yesterday, and I put it as Chris and Jess from JAMXP, and he gave us a shout during it. So I was like, oh, that's great, but um, we appreciate the little shout. Um,
Yeah. I told my husband about that, and he was like, "Are you sure you should be posting that as a video?" And I was like, "I don't know, why not?"
why not? I mean,
I
it's
don't
already
think
He
out
he'd
there.
mentioned
care.
you,
I
so
don't
I
think
think
he'd
that'd be
care.
fine.
I think it's fun because we actually got a shout out and it was for a good cause. So I told him, I'm like, as long as I caption it correctly and I give credit, to like him for doing a charitable stream and everything and us donating and everyone else donating, I'll make it sound legit. I'll give him lots of props. Yeah. That's all about
So
the credit, Chris. Got to give
it
credit where
is.
it's needed.
So what makes you enjoy Jam XP and listening to us so much? I'm just curious.
Well, I feel like just like right now, like it's fun just getting to talk to you guys. It's kind of like a FaceTime call basically, and I feel like that's how every episode is. And like I feel like everybody that comes onto the show enjoys talking with you guys. Like nobody feels forced. Everything just like flows, if that makes sense.
Well, we definitely didn't flow that great when we first started, but we've definitely gotten better. We got definitely better with practice.
Yeah, there was a marked difference where I went into one episode and I was like, I'm gonna approach this completely differently. Like I used to be so focused on our question checklist, and that used to set me back, I think, with how I was doing the interview. And thank goodness I decided to change it for the episode I did, or I would have been driven even more nuts. I'm sure you know which episode that was, Jess.
Yes.
And yeah, so
Yeah, we have a lot of guests too that ask us, they're like, well, you could just edit that out. And I'm like, we don't really edit a lot. We like our podcast episodes to just be real. Because when you edit a lot, then it becomes real choppy, and you can tell when
Hmm.
people have edited stuff. It's like, well, what the heck did you say that needed to be edited so drastically? It's like, only time we've cut stuff out is if someone was really adamant on like, oh yeah, don't share that. Off the record. Don't put this in. And we've edited that. But we like our streams and our videos and everything to just be as real as possible because we're just people having conversations and it's not going to be perfect, you know? Plus it makes it a lot easier to like, post because I don't have to edit a lot. Or Chris doesn't have to edit a bunch of stuff out.
yeah, there's only been a handful of times where we really needed to edit things out or somebody asked us to remove it. Um,
Yeah. It doesn't happen often, but I'm also not going to edit a bunch of stuff out. Like we've had awkward pauses. Now, if I had a really long pause and we were like real awkward, then I've cut it out. But other than that, we just let it go. A lot of other podcasts I've listened to, you can tell that stuff's been edited. I don't know that Shane edits a ton of his,
I don't think so.
but he's
So
so good at talking.
I was looking it up just while we've been talking, and Sam Tabor met his goal of $3,000 for the
Yep,
American Red Cross.
he did. Made
He
more than
got
that.
3,600.
It's great.
Yay.
What other podcasts do you listen to, Z? Do you listen to other ones?
No, I think you guys are the only one.
Wow, we're special, Chris.
Dang
We're her
right.
only podcast she listens to. We
Number one
must
on
be
my
good
list.
then, because she hasn't sought out other podcasts to listen to because she's been sick of us. Because I listen to other podcasts that are like similar to ours. Like there's a lot of them out there. There goes my chapstick. Oops. But yeah, there's others out there, but I don't know. We're
We're
trying to
just the
be different.
best.
We're trying to be different. We're trying to be
No, I think
real.
you guys are doing a great job. So
Well, we'd love to hear that. We'd love to hear it. That's why we always ask people for feedback on episodes and stuff, and we never get it.
Gotta be doing something right if nobody wants to tell us anything, right?
I guess we're doing something right because they don't want to like comment poorly on us about us, give us a bad comment, be like, oh, except for that one guy on TikTok that told me I had a five head. But I don't have a five head anymore because now I have bangs.
yeah, that's just mean though.
I know. It was some jerk probably just it was for troll. He was trolling.
Yeah, that was on the Ginger episode because
Yeah,
he said both of you.
I know. We have
God.
five heads. Jerk. Whatever.
I would have
Oh
been like,
wait,
can we
then
see
there's that
yours?
one. There was that one guy that said I looked like Beans from uh Malcolm in the Middle or something, right?
I don't remember the
Beans.
comment.
Some dude. I looked like some dude apparently. I don't remember where Beans is from. And I don't think Z probably knows who I'm talking about, so we'll
I
stop talking about
don't.
it.
I was gonna Google it afterwards.
So okay, so back to music, I guess. How did you become like the de facto manager for Seconds Away?
I don't know. So like when I started listening to them, I started thinking, I was like, I feel like getting into music would be something that I'd like to do and like one day like help manage a band or something. So I was trying with them. I was like, I kept bringing it up like randomly, but that's not something that they're looking for right now. So I was just like, you know what? Let me just like do my own thing then and like just like send their music to a bunch of people to just like help support them and stuff.
And didn't I think either you mentioned the story or maybe they did that you just started showing up early to help them like load in or maybe it was like take their equipment off stage. I thought I heard the story.
Mm-mm. The only
No?
time, no, when I first met them, I met them when they were taking like their equipment out of their trunk. That's when I first met them, but I've never like helped unload or anything like that.
No unloading. I've helped bands pack up. I've helped them carry their stuff out. That was when I used to go to a lot of local shows, and we became friends with a bunch of local bands. Still kind of friends with them. I see them every now and then, randomly out and about at like a show. I'll run into someone. I'll be like, "Hey!" But some of them moved out of state, so won't see them again. But it's always fun helping out when you can. So you're helping out in a different way,
Yep,
helping
just like
promote
me, just
them.
sharing their music.
Hey, it's good music, and you got to share the good music, right? You don't want to
That's
share
true.
the crap.
Um,
Ah.
I mean, that's kind of what I did back in the day when I had my own like little promotional group. I really used MySpace to my advantage back then, and I would just kind of search out bands. And Jess, I'm sure you remember how like everyone would have like a special MySpace banner, like a little ad
Hmm.
for their own. I had so many of those on my page. And then I started working with bands, being like, "Hey, do you need help like with merch design? I have an artist friend," and we put on a couple shows and everything. It was so I did like the same thing that you are. Like I just kind of threw myself in there and just did it. Probably not. I probably wasn't very professional at all back then. Um, but yeah, the first show I ever booked, just to get a feel for how unprofessional I was, I booked a show at a venue and didn't clear it with the owner that the show was going to happen before I got bands to sign on. And the
Mm.
owner was pissed, but he still did the show. Um,
Well, hey, you got the job done. So that's all
yeah,
that counts.
yeah, it was
If you book it, they will come. Is that what you were going for, Chris?
pretty much. Who was the band? It was someone out of Long Island. I can't remember. Um, I'll remember it later. I can't think of it now for some reason. I'm such a failure.
Nah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
You don't remember every memory. I remember specific things, and I'm sure a lot more happened back in the day to me.
Dang, it's gonna bother me now though. So, okay. So, two more things real quick. Um, I know that previously me and you talked like, do you want to be called Z or by your full first name? And you said my full first name, but people have a hard time pronouncing it. But I've just stuck with calling you Z the whole time because that's what the boys from Seconds Away referred to you as. Um, but
That's
as
because
far as
that's because
go
it's
ahead.
hard to say her first name. How do you say your name?
So my first name is Zaharaa.
Yeah, that's hard to say.
So I don't mind Z. People started calling me Z when it was about like 2.5 years ago when I started my job that I'm in right now. We had, I don't know why, but we have a whole bunch of people that we call just by the first letter of their name. So
Yeah.
he was like, you know what, Z it is. And I'm like, okay, Z it is.
See,
And
and I
then
would have just
when,
thought it was Zahara.
but see, that works too.
See, I'll just call her Zahara because that works too, Chris.
Why why you gotta sound it like all accusatory?
Because that's what we do.
Yeah. And so like my final one is what format of our episodes do you like like do you like the interviews? Do you like our little childish banter? Uh
I think it's like it's a mix of it all. Like
He likes it
you can
all.
tell that you guys are friends, not just like on screen, but like off screen as well. So I feel like that shows.
I
So it
wish we
just
were friends off screen, but we've
that
never
sounds
met.
mean.
We've never met in
No,
person,
but like
so
we talk off screen, I think
oh
she means.
well, we've never met in person, but
it's okay. I have a
we're
lot of friends I haven't met in person yet.
yeah, we're like
They
brother
still
and
count.
sister.
We really are. It's so annoying. Hey, you've heard the story of how we met though, right?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
I wonder if did you ever listen to like our very first episode where we were like, we're awesome, so get to know us or something like that?
No, but haven't gone that far back.
It's a long episode, but I think it does tell our story of how we met.
It does, and we've mentioned it a few times, and I know a lot more times off camera.
Oh, we've
But
mentioned it a lot.
we definitely met on the internet in like the early days of social media. Um, we'll say it's MySpace.
Yeah, there's two options, but we just always go with MySpace.
Yeah, we're not going to mention the other website. Um, but yeah, and so we met and then started talking primarily because of music. And this was late 2003, early 2004.
Well, yeah, I think it's also because I had the online magazine with my friends. So you were all like, Jam Jess, oh.
Yeah, she was Jam Jess in my phone up until we started this actually,
I think I
hold
thought you
on.
said I still
You
was.
might still be. Yeah, you're still Jam Jess on my phone. I thought I had changed it at one point. So, but we've never met in person. We were both really into music. There's some really funny comments back and forth in the early days of Facebook when we became friends on Facebook. And I asked her about this band and trying to get merch, Miles from Midnight. And the amount of time she used the word MySpace as a noun and a verb. Um, just MySpace, they're MySpace.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how we go way back. But we've never met in our 20 some odd years of being friends. And we've definitely had our lulls in those years where we like don't talk much, but
Yeah. Well, now we talk all the time because we're on a podcast together. So we kind of have to. Kind of have to communicate more. It's how it was though. MySpace days, it's like I had a lot of people I was in contact with, but as soon as like Facebook happened, then you were friends on Facebook, and then you just lost touch with a lot of people because a lot of people you never actually you saw them or met them at a show, and then you never saw them again. Sucks. I tried. I think I tried to keep in communication with people. It's just it has to work both ways, you know?
Hmm.
Sometimes it just doesn't. They're not your friends' friends then. They're more of acquaintances.
Exactly.
But
so do you have anything you want to add? Anything you want to say to anyone listening? Aside from you, because you're going to listen to your own episode, right?
Of course. And I'm gonna share it too.
Anything you want to add to anyone listening? Any bands you want to give a shout out to? Any good news you want to share with everybody?
Um, I don't know. I don't really have anything right now. I would just say you guys want feedback, so make sure we're commenting, liking, sharing, watching more than 35 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, shit, we got to ask the most important question, Jess.
yeah,
What's your favorite dinosaur?
I don't know the name of it. I want to say it starts with a T, but I feel like I'm wrong.
what's
The
it
bird
look like?
version. The bird version. It
Oh, is it a
flies.
pterodactyl?
Yes, that thing. I don't know why.
Because it
I think
flies.
it gives me dragon vibes.
It's
And
true.
I thought
It's
I
true.
seen one a couple months ago, and everybody told me I was crazy. They were just an oversized bird in the sky.
You know what though? All those birds probably are derivative and descendants from a pterodactyl. So, and all
First part,
dinosaurs are
right?
from chickens. So they
But
say.
but chickens don't fly.
Well, a lot of dinosaurs don't fly. Some dinosaurs fly. Actually, remember, Chris, the flying dinosaurs are actually not
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
they're not dinosaurs.
They were there in the Jurassic and all that period and everything, but they're technically not dinosaurs because they weren't technically reptiles or whatever.
I don't know the
I don't know.
reasoning. I'm
I don't
not a
know the
scientist.
specifics. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a paleontologist. Uh, Definitely, if I was, I wouldn't probably have this podcast. So,
Let's
or
start
maybe
an
I would.
we'll start an offshoot of JAMXP, JAMX paleontology. And
I
well,
was
I don't know.
you
That
were
sounds
all like
fun.
you were working off the P, and I was gonna just be like, oh, we'll be Jam XD, Jam X dinosaurs.
uh
Oh
yeah.
man,
Anyway,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Well,
It's been
thank you
fun
guys for having
chatting,
me.
Yeah, and
and
you're welcome